So let's redesign another random website on the internet, shall we? Hello, I'm your host Casino from Casino.com. I'm the digital alchemist, and today we're going to redesign another random website on the web. Now, as usual, don't cheat and don't skip to the end, because the whole interest of this video is the whole process, so that you understand why I made some decisions and how it influenced the final design. So if you want to know how to create custom premium websites, make sure you watch until the end. I may have dropped a tip or two along the way. Now, I'll be using some tools in this video, from the design to the conversion on the web, but bear in mind that you can use pretty much any tool that you want. What matters is the process. So enough talk, let's dive in. 1. Finding the candidate. So I'm hungry, so I decided to look for a Chinese restaurant, and I typed Chinese restaurant Leicester. Not that I live in Leicester, but hey, why not? So I landed on page 5 of Google until this bad boy caught my eye with the whole caps lock. So this website here. Okay, so this is the Udo's Chinese website, and at first glance it looks like a good candidate for a redesign. Now, before I go any further, I really want to stress the fact that I'm not putting down anyone. I'm not putting down the designers, because first of all, we don't know what the budget of the website was. We don't know the briefing of the client. There are many things we don't know about the project. So the idea here is just to find a good candidate, just to show you the process of a redesign. Okay, so with that out of the way, let's move on to the briefing. 2. The brief and mini audit. So as you saw, this is the main page, and this is what I came up with. There is too much of everything. Udo's, home, blog, our food, menu, gallery, order online, vacancies, franchise, loyalty, contact, about us, find us, my account. What you saying? Halal Monitoring Committee UK.
Bradford, now open.
Order online for delivery or collection. Find your nearest store. Our food. So as I was saying, there is too much of everything. Everything is screaming for attention, so it's really hard to know what's important. Now just imagine that I land on this website for the first time, so I'm not a customer yet, and I don't care about Bradford because I don't live there. This big gigantic banner competes with the call to action, which is the order online. So yeah, less is more, and you need some visual hierarchy to know what's important on the page. Now, another point is the fact that the color palette doesn't seem to match the branding. Now, I'm not sure because I don't really know that brand. I mean, it's the first time I discover it. But when you look at the pictures here, it looks like it's really red on white. And the restaurants also look like they really have a light color palette. And if you look at the Udo's box here, it also looks like it's really a white background, and then you got some red and some black. But when you look at the overall color scheme here, it looks like it's really dark. It seems off-brand. I might be wrong, but that's how it feels to me. So our mission is to declutter everything, make sure that there is some visual hierarchy, and also make sure that the color scheme matches the branding and the restaurants. Next, wireframing. So with all the info we got from the mini audit, we can start wireframing, and this is a grid that I have in my starter file, and we can use that later. Now, these are the assets we have so far. We need to complete that a little bit later, but these are the assets we're going to use for the wireframes, and I also have a copy of the original logo for reference. Okay, so now we can start wireframing. So let me go into edit mode. And by the way, I'm using Affinity Designer to create this, but you can use pretty much anything you want. You can use the GIMP, Photoshop, Adobe XD, Sketch, Figma, whatever, even pen and paper, it doesn't matter. Okay, so first of all, I'm going to paste my assets. Then let's go back into editing mode, and I'm just going to start placing the elements. So let me align this here. I'm going to place the navicon outside the canvas because I don't need it right now. Now for the button, it will go here, the call to action, and the user account icon will come here. Now let me make this bigger. Then I'm just gonna drag it down. Okay, and then I got my call to action here in the middle. Let me align it, and that's starting to take shape. Next, let me use the text tool, and I can start typing. So first of all, I need to change the color. So let me type nav. Going to change the font. Let me make this smaller, and then I'm just going to place it on the left. Then I'm just going to duplicate all the elements, and as you've understood, this is our navigation, and this is the final result. And then what I need is the value proposition text as well as the location, because if you recall, they want us to know that Bradford is opening. They want us to know about the multi-locations. So to make this faster, this is what I've come up with. I just need to make sure that it's well aligned. Okay, so this is our wireframe, and let's compare it to the original. As you can see, it's not really nice at the moment, but it doesn't have to be nice. It's just a wireframe. You could just literally draw it with pen and paper. The idea is to make things clearer. So first of all, I only have 4 elements in the nav. Now, where do the other elements go? Now, basically, if you look here, you have too many items. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, actually 12 and 13 element in the navigation. If you know anything about my channel, I always advise you to have maximum 7 elements, or you need to use something like a mega menu or a full screen and really break it down into little chunks. Here, there is too much. So the idea is that some of those elements like vacancies, franchise, loyalty, about us, that kind of stuff, it can go in the footer. It can go where people know where to find it if they need it. You don't need to put all of that in your customer's face when they just reach your website. Maybe they just want to order. You want to make things easy. So out of all of that, I'm only going to keep home, menu, restaurants, and our food in the main navigation. And then the rest, as I said, can be found lower on the page. Maybe the only thing missing is a hint that you can actually scroll down. So let me fix that. And you can see it right here. So it's just a box with an icon. Okay, now I can start working on the tablet and mobile versions, and I'm going to speed this up. Okay, and there you go. These are our wireframes, the desktop, the tablet, and the mobile version. Okay, now that we have a solid foundation, we can move on to the next step. Next, moodboarding. So moodboarding is the process of collecting visual clues of what you want to achieve with the design, things that you like. Now, we're not talking about stealing a design. We're talking about some elements. It could be the typography that you see here. It could be the color scheme. It could be the reflections on the metal. It could be a lot of different things. Now, obviously, this mood board that you see is not the one I made for this current project, but it's just to give you an idea. You can put a lot of various elements, and it's really gonna help when you start designing. Next, preparing the assets. Now, we already have a few assets that we use for wireframing, but now we need the real assets we need for our design. So one of the first things to do is to start looking for images, icons, that kind of stuff. You can use free tools like Unsplash. I mean, it's a free website. Unsplash, Pixabay, Pexels. There are many free services, or you can use a premium one. So I've found quite a few pictures. As you can see here, I have a lot that actually gave me a lot of ideas, and just looking for the right picture can take some time. Now, with experience, it goes faster, but you should really spend the time required. So this is my final choice after testing a lot of the images that I initially found. But the only thing is that I didn't want the red color, because I tried, and I will show you why in a moment. But I really wanted to go for a look that really matches the branding with the light background color. Unfortunately, after reviewing a few hundred images, I couldn't find one like this, but with a light background. Well, actually, I found a few, but not as good as this one. So I had to go for plan B, and plan B can take quite some time. So this is plan B. So I'm in Affinity Photo now, which is kind of like Photoshop, but cheaper. So as you can see, this is the full image, and this is what I've done. So here I had to isolate each and every dish, each and every element on the image. And not only that, but I had to add fake shadows. So look at the pen here, and let me show you. So this is the shadow that I added, and I added some shadows for every element that you see here. And then I added a gradient background. So this is the color scheme I wanted to go for, because I want to match the branding with a lighter background. So out of this, I created a few compositions that you can see here on screen. I also optimized some other images, and then I isolated each and every element so that I can reuse it, and I will show you why in a moment. So back into our project file, let me paste the assets. So as you can see, each asset can be used independently. Next, the identity. Now, I don't know if this company has a defined brand, so it's going to be guesswork here. So this is what I've come up with. Basically, I used the red from their logo, then I used some black and just the usual grayscale. And what I did is I recreated the logo, not because it actually needs it. So let me show you. this is the original logo. Let me paste it here. So I could have used this one, but I needed the other version, so I just recreated it. It's not the same font, but it's just for the sake of this video. Now for the typography, we're going to use Rubik, which is a Google font, so it's going to make it easier down the line. Next, it's finally time to start designing. So let's go into editing mode, and I'm just going to paste the assets. So first of all, let me take the background and I'm going to scale it up, and I'm just going to make sure that it's behind everything. And now I can start designing. So this is a bit too dark for the background. So what I can do is I can actually start dragging and scaling up. So I can just change the shade because it's a gradient. So I want it to be lighter. Okay, that's much better. So now I can start dragging things around. And first of all, I'm going to take some of the elements here and I'm just going to scale it up because it's a bit too small at the moment. So let me put this here. Let me drag this down here and we can start styling stuff. The only thing left that I need is the logo. So here it is. So let me put it in the middle. I'm gonna make it bigger, and then I prepared a line here just to make the separation because it's going to be a transparent navigation, but I just want to show a subtle line just for the separation with the content. So let me drag the menu here on top, and same thing for the call to action and the user accounts icon. Okay, and next I'm going to put this in the middle, and next I'm just going to use the text tool, but for the sake of this video, this is what I've prepared, and then I can start playing around with each individual element. So I'm going to make this one bigger. Okay, so this is the final result, and now I can start using my grid. So I'm just going to copy the grid here, go back to my design, go to the top element, and I'm just going to paste the grid here. So let me align it, and now I'm going to make it bigger. Okay, so now we can start using the grid to align elements and just tweak all the little details. Okay, so this is what I've come up with. Let me make this bigger and let me remove the grid. So as you can see, it looks neat, and let's compare it to what we currently have. Now, I don't know about you, but to me, it looks way easier to scan through the information and know what to do. Now, of course, I don't know if they have these kind of dishes in this restaurant, but even if they don't, the idea here is that if they had a professional photographer that made pictures of the oodles boxes, and really you want to make people want to eat right from behind their computer screen or their mobile phone or their tablet. Now, with this design, it's going to be way easier to scan through the information. So let me show you something. People scan in F. So that's how people scan web pages. When it's on a desktop, of course, it's going to be different on a mobile, but on a desktop, people scan in F. Usually they start here on the left-hand side. Well, depending, of course, if you're in an Arabic country or some Asian countries, it would be the other way around. But if you read from left to right, this is how usually people scan through the page. They start here on top where the logo usually is, but here it's a navigation. Then they scan through to the right-hand side, so they will see the logo, they see the call to action and the My Account icon here. Then they go back down, then they go in the middle, and that's where you want to put the important elements. As you can see, there are a lot of colors. That's why I use the red call to action for this button here. And I use the white one here on top, and I will show you why in a moment. Now, another element we could add if you want to let people know that there's a new restaurant opening in Bradford is to use a news element like this. So you see here at the bottom, like this, or in white, and I know in white you don't really see it, but the idea is that maybe you have a different background. The idea is that you have a white and a black version, I mean a contrasty version. So using this with a slide in is going to be more subtle, and you can still pass the message. Okay, so let me take care of the tablet and mobile versions, and once again I'm going to speed this up. Okay, so this is the final version. You got a desktop, the tablet, and the mobile, and as explained, to me it looks way easier, way cleaner, but hey, I built it, so I might be biased, of course. Let me know what you think in the comments. Now you may think, okay, easy peasy, you know, that was easy to make. Well, Not that it was really hard, but I had to do a lot of testing. So let me show you this file. These are all the variations that I tried. This is the process from the beginning. So I started with this one because I want to use faces, and I still think it's a good idea. Now you need to bear in mind that this is purely subjective, but if you want to be sure of what works and what doesn't work, use A/B testing. So basically, A/B testing is the process where out of 2 visitors on a website, one will be served one image, one will be served another image or another call to action. You could put multiple, but it's better to use just 2 at a time and have a significant amount of views before you can make a decision. So this was the first proposition. Then I went on to this one, which I really liked. Then I tried this one with a different header. Then I tried this one with the final picture that I used, but just the elements were placed in a different position. But I like the red because it reminded me of the red from the logo. But then again, looking at the media audit, I really wanted to go for a lighter background, but I also wanted to try really darker background just to see if I could make something with a dark background work, just in case the client absolutely wants a dark background. Now, although this is not my client and it's just a random website redesign, I'm treating it as if it was a real project just to help you and show you the process. So this next one is my favorite one. That's the one I wanted to use because this is so clean and so minimal, and I love minimalism. But sometimes you have to put what you like aside, because as much as I love this, it looks a bit too minimal, I think, because it doesn't trigger the will to eat. This is just blank noodles. If you're really hungry, unless you're really a fan of blank noodles, but I don't think that it will make you want to actually go and eat at that place. So I still tried another one. Here I changed the navigation. Next, I moved to this darker proposition. Then I tried something really crazy with the colors. And then I moved on to this one, which I also liked, but there wasn't much I could do with this picture because the elements were cut here on each side. Then I tried this one with the food. Someone eating the food, although you can't see a face, but you see the action of eating the food. Another dark background. So at this stage, I knew I wanted something like this, but I knew I couldn't use it because of what I've just explained. So what I did is, after I found the image and I showed you how I completely isolated each and every element, so I started testing. I tested this version here, but the problem is that both call to actions were on the same side. I tried this one, but it was nice, but a bit empty. I tried this one. It was nice, but not colorful enough. The black pen here is good, but here it felt empty. Plus, because there were some elements on top, I had to use a gradient to cover the elements and make sure you could read the menu and the logo. So I tested a few more. I have a lot of these. I tested a lot of stuff, and finally I came up with the last 2. So here, as you can see, I have both call to actions that are red, and here I have the version with the call to action white on top and red in the middle, and that's the one I preferred. Once again, this is purely subjective, but I felt like the balance was much better here than here. So let me know what you think between the 2, but that's the one I chose. So this is what we had here on the left hand side, and this is what we now have. Now at this stage, this is where you pass the project to the developers. If you are a pure web designer, or if you are a hybrid, you can start developing yourself, whether you code or use a tool like WordPress, Webflow, whatever. In the next step, I'm going to show you my own process. Next, converting the design for the web. Now you may be using whatever you want. You can code from scratch. You can use a tool like Webflow. You can use WordPress. You can use any theme builder, whatever you want. I'm just going to show you my process. So I'm using WordPress and Elementor Pro, and I'm using my own tool that I built called Wirementor. Bear in mind that usually when I do the whole project in Elementor, if I know I'm going to build the website in Elementor, I don't start with Affinity Designer. So right after the mood board, I actually use Elementor as if I was using Affinity Designer. I design straight in the browser because with experience, for me, it goes really fast. Plus, I'm building everything already in the final tool, so it's just a time gain for later on in the project. And with Wirementor, basically, I can just copy and paste some elements. So let me show you. I'm going to copy a header. So for example, I will use this header here. So I'm just going to right click and copy. Then I go back here and I'm just going to paste the navigation. Same thing for the hero section. That's exactly the same process. I can just copy go back and paste, and then I can start moving the elements around and tweaking the elements. And basically there are a lot of elements that I use. Now, you don't need to use this tool. I mean, to me, it makes things faster, obviously, because I built it, but you can just use Elementor, create your own sections, use some blocks. I just use this to make it faster, but you can totally do it your way. So this is what I've come up with. So this one here is the desktop version. So as you can see, I just changed the elements around because as you can see here, the nav was in the middle and the logo on the left. So all I did is I put the logo in the middle and the nav on the left hand side. I still have my call to action on the right hand side. So basically that's it for the header section for the desktop. I have 3 columns as you can see here. Now, if I go into tablet modes, let me show you. I have this navigation here. So I have 2 columns with the logo and then a navicon that should open a full screen navigation. Now, for the sake of this tutorial, I'm not going to go into this because the video is long enough, but I have more than 15 videos explaining you how to create this type of navigation. So if I go into mobile mode, this is exactly the same thing, just smaller. And when it comes to the home page, this is what I've come up with. And as you can see, it's pretty close to what we had initially. So this is the final results. And then I have a second version here. In the second version, you can see that we have some text animated. So this is going to be used for the locations, as you recall, Leicester, Bradford, and so on. And here is the tablet version and the mobile version. So once the wireframes are approved, I can start designing. So this is what I come up with. So this is the desktop version. So this is what we have for the tablet. And let me show you the mobile version. And this is what we have. Same process for the hero section on the home page. This is the approved wireframe. And this is the final design that you've already seen in Affinity Designer. But basically, if I open the structure, as you can see, this is the first section. So this is V1. I have a column, then I have a heading, animated headline, as you can see here. Then I have the button. And finally, I have an icon here at the bottom right corner. Now, this is just an image. So if I go into the section, I go into the background, this is an image. And you'll understand why I'm saying that in a moment. This is the final version. And as you can see, it looks good. Let me show you the tablet version and the mobile version. Now, let me present to you version 2. So this looks like it's exactly the same, but watch as I start moving the mouse. As you can see, the pan here on the left is slightly moving, and so is the rice bowl here on the right hand side, and then I have the dish here at the bottom moving. So the idea is to just give a little bit of subtle animation. So let me show you how I did that. So going back into Elementor, all I did was selecting a few elements. So the key here is that I still have a background. So let me show you. If I go into the section, as you can see, I still have a background image, but it's kind of empty. And I just added some isolated elements. So you see here the pan on the left hand side. And if I click on it, I go to advanced motion effect. I used the mouse effect. So I got mouse track opposite with 0.7. And this is what makes it move and have this effect. So let me go back, let me refresh. So as you can see, subtle animation for the titles. Let me show you one more time. And then I got the call to action. And then as you can see here at the bottom, we have the news pop-up that we saw earlier on. So let me refresh, and after a few seconds, it's gonna come at the bottom left, as you can see right now. And this is an Elementor Pro pop-up, by the way, as you can see here at the bottom. So basically you just build it as a section and then you just choose the conditions. So if I go into the conditions here, I said I want to show it just on the front page, and the trigger is on page load after 4 seconds. Click next, save, and that's about it. Now, once again, this is the tablet version and the mobile version, and you don't really see the elements moving unless you touch with your finger. Now, as mentioned, you can code from scratch or use pretty much any tool that you want, but if you want to use Elementor Pro like I did, I have an affiliate link in the description below. This is an affiliate link, so it means that I do get a commission if you purchase after clicking on one of my links, but it doesn't change anything for you. And in exchange, it gives a little kickback to the channel, and it helps me to keep on creating free content just for you. Now, in case you forgot, we went from this to this. Let's do it one more time. From this to this, and this, and this. If you've got any value out of this video, please give it a thumbs up because it's only going to take you a split second, but it helps me so much. And if you want more of these coming your way, make sure you subscribe and smash the notification bell so that you don't miss anything, because I want to create more of these. I actually enjoy these so much. I just love design, and I think that just using themes and templates is fun when you need to go fast, but it takes all the pleasure out of web design. So if you want more web design inspiration, become a digital alchemist, be part of the community. So I'll see you in the next one, and until then, take care and stay safe.